Welcome back. It's week 3 of POL450, Research Methods for Political Science. I hope you had a good week too, where we took a break from building our prospectus and we focused on that IRB process. But here in week 3, we're back to those building blocks, that modular approach to this course. I hope that all of you have taken the opportunity to watch the prospectus video and the accompanying documents that go along with it, the prospectus example and the prospectus template. I think if you took the opportunity to view that, you would have a much better understanding of what this course is all about. Many people walk into this course thinking they're going to write a research paper instead of a research project. And hopefully by watching that video, you get a good understanding of the difference. And I hope it will also make you understand how manageable and easy this process can possibly be. But this week, we are going to focus on that research question. Now, we understand that this is a hypothetical research project that we're doing. We're not going to carry out the research. We're not going to collect the data. We're not going to analyze the data, and we're not going to report on the data. We started in week 1, and we thought of topics that interested us. From that, we're going to take that topic, and we're going to create one manageable, realistic research question. Now, I know this sounds simple, but the question actually has to be in a question form with a question mark at the end. We are going to ask a question, and then our study is that we are going to work through trying to come up with some sort of answer to this question, or at least a report on that. We don't always have to answer questions in research, but we at least have to go through the process to attempt to come up with data that supports the question. And that is what we are going to focus on this week, is that concept of writing a research question. So in our reading this week, we are in chapter 2 and chapter 4. I also have some accompanying PowerPoints that go along with that. The first one is concepts, operationalization, and measurement, and a YouTube video that's associated with that, and a second on writing your research question. So what I always recommend is to go through the PowerPoints, do your reading, and then go through your PowerPoints again. And that will always set you up for success, especially if you see things in redundancy. Now, I have it highlighted here even that we only need to write one research question. So make sure that you find a question, and this might be one of those assignments that when you submit this week, we might have to readdress. We might have to, don't think that this is going to be a one and done. This research question that you write is going to be the most important piece of your paper because everything's going to build upon this. So we might need to fine tune or refine our research question in weeks to come as we start to build out our assignment. And that is perfectly fine, and actually almost one of those things that is expected, that we won't have a perfect research question right out of the gate, but with time we will get to that point. And then that will take us to our 3 deliverables this week. So our first deliverable is writing a research question. It's going to be due, like all of our assignments, on Sunday at 11:59. It's 25 points that are possible. This week you will write a problem statement, a purpose statement, and to begin to write the research question or hypothesis. Framing the problem statement and the research question is one of the most difficult research tasks that any researchers face. Therefore, be prepared to spend a substantial amount of time and thought in completing this exercise. A good problem statement and research question will make the rest of the paper flow smoothly. An ill-informed or poorly worded statement will complicate the rest of the writing process. The details of the assignment and its structures are given below. In addition, pay particular attention to tables 2.14 in the textbook to see how a research question is generated from a topic. So what I'm going to ask you as the structure of the assignment is to define the problem. 2 to 3 paragraphs describing a particular issue or problem related to political science. Second, describe the purpose of the study. Keep in mind that it is hard to prove or explain anything. You are better off by exploring a question. The third, define the concepts that you will be discussing. Maybe a legal definition, maybe a social, psychological, medical definitions. 4, define the operation of the variables that can be measured and the concepts. This may be qualitative or quantitative. and give your expectations of how the variables are related in the form of a research question or a hypothesis. So, what I have is I've provided you a very quick and down and dirty example. So, the problem statement: California is in the middle of a serious drought, and local governments are looking for ways to conserve water supplies. One tactic used by a city and county administrators is asking residents to cut back on their water usage. However, the tactic has had mixed results. Some residents have managed to cut their water usage, and some have chosen not to restrict their usage. So, the purpose statement: the purpose of this study is to explore the reasons that residents of Riverside County, California, choose to restrict or choose not to restrict their water use. Some concepts that I would need to define in this study, obviously, is what is drought, and more importantly, is what is water usage. Are we going to be measuring in the amount of water they use, the gallons that they use? How am I going to express that? The variables: drought should have a legal or scientific definition and will need to be researched. Water usage is defined in acres, feet per family, and will need to be researched. Expectations leading into a research question. I expect to find that there are various reasons that residents have or have not changed their water uses. Some of these reasons may be philosophical or economic or cultural. And my first formation of a research question, and this is so important: have the residents of Riverside County, California, changed their water usage habits over the past year, or have they chosen not to change their water usage over the same period of time? And what reasons do they give for their decisions? So you can see that is in a question format. We have built a problem statement. We have built a purpose statement. There's some concepts we're going to need to define. We have operationalized our variables. There's some expectations leading into the research question, and then finally the research question. So for that, 15 points for requiring all elements and 10 points for writing at a college level. Now, for a 25-point assignment, this carries a ton of weight, because if we put some time and effort into this piece here in week 3, the rest of the weeks are going to be pretty easy. And these are 3 pieces of chapter 1. If we spend a little bit of time and do these thoroughly, these can ultimately just be cut and pasted into your final prospectus. That's that modular design we've spoke of. The second variable that we have is going to be our application exercise. It's a quiz, and what it is it's going to be, once again, operationalizing variables. We need to understand that when we use a variable, so that we need to learn to operationalize that in a research when you have looking at it through a research lens. So it's very difficult for maybe, as an example, to say someone's doing good, someone's doing well, someone's doing poor. What does that mean? We are going to need to look at how are we going to operationalize those variables so that we can then have some sort of an account for them. There's no time limit on the quiz, but it must be completed in one sitting, and you may repeat it one time for a higher grade if you wish. And then finally, your week 3 journal. For week 3 journal, reflect on last week's IRB application assignment. Your response to each of the prompts should be once again, we want to see some substance in these questions, and I need to see that you are writing at a college level. So prior to last week's assignment, were you aware of the Institutional Review Board here at CBU? Now that you have completed the IRB exercise, do you have a better understanding of the importance and rigor and ethical oversight in academic research? And how would you explain the role and importance of IRB to a fellow student who has not yet embarked on a research study? So remember, a journal is as if you are reading, or we are having a conversation, you having a conversation with me. So the writing can be informal, but it has to have that, I'm expecting to see some college level understanding of the questions and some depth to your remarks. And there's week 3. I would say that this might be one of the more difficult weeks, because what I mean by difficult is that you are going to go from a concept to a research question in a matter of a week, and that is a difficult task, Many people, when they embark in a research project, this is the most difficult portion, is creating this research question. So if you have any problems or concerns this week, but feel free to reach out. If you have any issues with this, with the conceptually, and you haven't watched the video, by all means, watch the video on the prospectus. Look at the example. I think that will help you out in this assignment. So I'll be thinking about you this week. I'll keep you in my thoughts and prayers. I hope that you have a successful week. You stay healthy. I look forward to reading all of your work. And if you have any questions, concerns, anything, reach out to me. Reach out, ask a question, we'll get it solved. Stay diligent, use good time management throughout your week, and I will look forward to all reading all your work. Bye for now. Let's all have a great week.